Hello, bonjour, bienvenue. Welcome to France Today Live. I'm Sophie Gardner-Roberts. I'm the web editor for France Today, and I'm your host today for this very exciting event celebrating the 150th anniversary of the birth of the Impressionist movement. And today we will be with Anne Catherine Abecassis, who will be taking us on a journey through art history. A quick word, we'd like to thank you so much for your wonderful comments on all our previous events. Thank you for being such an engaged Francophile community here on France Today. So without further ado, I will invite Anne Catherine to join me by switching on her camera and microphone. Hello, Anne Catherine, how are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm very fine, very pleased to have you here today. Thank you so much.
I'm very pleased to be here, actually, talking about this incredible movement, the Impressionism.
Mm-hmm. I do have a short word of introduction about you. So, Anne Catherine Abecassis, you are a specialist in French painting of the 19th and 20th centuries. You obtained your PhD in art history from the Sorbonne in 2000, and you remain attached to Danish culture through your own origins, your articles on Nordic art, and translating the writings of modern Danish artists. Notably for the Centre Pompidou and the École nationale supérieure des beaux-arts of Paris. You taught art history at the Sorbonne in Paris, the University of Rouen, and the University of Paris 3 Sancier. Since 2005, you have taught art history at several American university programs in Paris, including the University of Southern California, Wells College, and the Institut d'études européennes. And finally, you're also a lecturer on the Paris Art Studies program and for the American Friends of the Musée d'Orsay. That's right, no?
That's absolutely right.
All right. Well, if you would like to start, if you're ready to start, you can share your
I'm ready to share my screen. So, yes, as Sophie said, we will be talking today about the 150th anniversary of the Impressionist, the first Impressionist exhibition. It's an exhibition back then that were far from being a success. But 150 years after, it's a huge event. So the Musée d'Orsay is having this amazing exhibition for the first time, presenting most of the work that were at the exhibition. And so we will see more in detail how the exhibition is organized. And this is an exhibition that will be from September, as far as I remember, to January in Washington in the National Gallery. Mm-hmm. So, here you have the building actually of where the very first exhibition was held. And it was in Paris on April 15, 1874, on 35 Boulevard des Capucines, in the former studio of the photographer Nadar. And at the time, the exhibition was not called the Impressionist exhibition, since nothing was called the Impressionism. But it was actually the exhibition of the Anonymous Society of Painter, Sculptor, Printmaker, etc. It is in the title, etc. And you can see here that this is a very modern building, 19th century industrial revolution building. It makes sense that the exhibition was held in the photographer's studio. Nadar, I have here a picture of Nadar. Nadar is probably one of the most famous photographer of his time, the first one, actually. And the relation between Impressionism and photography is really important because it is definitely the invention of photography in 1830-something that freed the painting from its mandatory goal that was assigned since the Renaissance, which was imitation. But by imitation, it was far from being copying reality, but to provide an image above reality, as if we could see it from a window. This is an important fact. Something that I discovered lately, only having seen the image in black and white, sorry, that the building was actually painted red. But of course, this is something that is not visible in the black and white image. So there were some 30 artists, 200 works were exhibited alongside with the official salon that I will talk also about in what was to become the first Impressionist exhibition. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I have a cold.
Oh, yes, you said. Yeah, it's been terrible, the weather. We've just,
Sorry.
yeah.
Okay, and it makes me nervous to cough, so.
No, please don't worry.
Okay. Sorry, I'm really sorry. So out of these 30 artists, there are actually 7 who have left their mark on their time, and only 7, but 7 so important that they completely changed the art world, and they making the 1874 exhibition an important milestone in the art history, and that will lead us to modern art. And all these artists are born around 1839 and 1841. So we have Cézanne. So, sorry. I picked images of painting that were actually presented in 1874. So here you have La Maison du Pendu that he painted at Auvers-sur-Oise. We'll talk more about this after. A portrait of Cézanne. I thought it was nice to also have images of these artists. Sisley, and we have Monet, of course. I will show you on the next page Renoir, but I won't show you Basile. Basile probably who would have had a major figure of the exhibition and of Impressionism, but unfortunately he was the only one who enrolled in the 1870 Franco-Prussian War and unfortunately died. But I still wanted his name to be part of the presentation. So we have also Morisot, Auguste Renoir, sorry. This is a portrait actually that Basile did of Renoir. Berthe Morisot, so a woman. We will see, she's not the only one. And this with the self-portrait here. Pissarro, with a painting that made a huge scandal. And of course, Degas. Voilà. So it's bigger just because I just there wasn't enough place in the former page. It's not that he's more important than the other. And he's definitely one who hated the name Impressionist. So voilà. So I think it's important to place the 1874 exhibition in its context to understand, what was the exhibition of this Society Anonymous of painter and sculptor, etc., and engraver. So, of course, to understand the context, it's important to understand the French academic system. Until the 19th century, the Académie des Beaux-Arts, that was actually created in 1648 under Louis XIV. He was 10 though, so I don't know how much he was involved in the creation, but he was a major figure later in the importance of the Academy, and the Academy after the French Revolution became the Académie des Beaux-Arts, but pretty much since the beginning, the 17th century, the Academy was all powerful. And one of the things that the Academy was in charge of, and the Academy, despite of the name, is not a school, but an institution that supervised the art world under the control of the state. Louis XIV really quickly understood how he could use art to make France shine. And so one of the things that they will be doing is to organize an annual, sometimes it was biannual, but in the 19th century, it's an annual exhibition. And until pretty much the end of the century, and what the Impressionist will do, no artist could have a career without its support and its well attended annual exhibition. So again, I found some caricature that I thought was important because at a time when museums are pretty new, Museum the Louvre, for instance, is 1793, so just after the revolution, people were not used like today to go to exhibitions, but they attended very carefully to the salon. The salon is often represented with a crowd, as you can see here. On the left side, this is the day where you don't pay. And here, this is people in front of a very famous history painter, who painting was specialized in the 1870 Franco-Prussian War, but this was earlier, but he was a military painter. And here another example from 1847. So you can see the context, and you can also see that a lot of different people are attending. You have women, you have children. You can see by the way, even in the caricature, by the way people were dressed, that people from all different social level will come to that exhibition. Even today, there is no exhibition of living artists that can rival with the Salon. The Salon could make or break a career, but it was because it was the only one, that was the only place to be seen and the only place to become an official painter. Again, something that the Impressionist will actually completely change. And so here you can see how things, even in the late 19th century, this is a beautiful and interesting painting from Orsay, where you can see members of the jury. So the jury is assigned by a society of artists after the 80s, connected with the Academy. And you can see only male. The only female that we have in the painting is actually naked, but that's a common place. Voilà. And so you see, things had to be very fast. It was anonymous. So people were supposed to vote for the painting itself, and very quickly they lifted their arms or umbrella. Someone was counting, accepted, rejected, and things went really fast. But that's something that was, through the 19th century, highly criticized by the artists, because if they weren't accepted 1 year, they will not make any sale through the whole year. So the question and the issue, and for an artist like Delacroix, a major artist of the first half of the 19th century, who died 11 years before the first Impressionist exhibition, was actually complaining on the fact that what was the position of an artist? Should they just do what the Academy was expecting, to have a chance to be exhibited and to have sales, or could they be more creative? And that was really something that was a problem. So to talk about this French academic painting, and even in the 19th century, at the time of the Impressionists, and the Impressionists are between 23 and 28 years old when Cabanel submitted this painting at the Salon. Huge success. Napoleon III bought this painting. This is really the painting that embody the Second Empire style. It is said that when the Tuileries burned down at the fall of the empire, when the Communards, when there was this civil war in 1871, and they burned down the Tuileries Palace where Napoleon III and Eugénie lived, Eugenie saved that painting, saying that if there's one thing to be preserved and that will bring the visual identity of the Second Empire, this is this image. This image is exactly what the Impressionists are reacting against. So as you can see here, nothing shows the work of the artist. Everything is done to make you forget that the painting is a painting. So here you have a historical subject matter. So this is Venus. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. This is, so she's perfect. It's a very erotical painting, but that's fine because she's dead for a long time. And so you see also the way it's painted, and this is something that keep that in mind when I show you the Impressionist painting. And so no visible brushstroke. All artists should proceed the same way. And so the drawing is the most important thing, even though the drawing is not visible because it's covered by thin layers of paint, one thin layers on top of another. You have to go through half tones. Can you see that you go from one tone to another slightly with no rough brush strokes? And that was exactly what was expected. So it's very nice, the baby blue sky, perfect, beautiful pearl color skin tone, perfect. Well, another example of someone, so this is from 1846. I will show you a painting that he presented in 1874, but at the official salon, not the Impressionist one. So somehow, again, when I say this is exactly what the Impressionists and the new generation of artists are reacting against. In the mid-19th century, after all the social changes, after all the idea on painting changes, and the world changing, Paris is completely reconstructed. How can it make sense to keep painting people from a period that nobody had witnessed? But of course, it's super well painted. It looks like real skin. They have two different skin tones. It looks like hair. It looks like feather, but it's somehow a little meaningless and irrelevant for the period. So this is before the Impressionist, something that artists will start to rethink. And if many artists accepted the rules of the system, other while not totally challenging the system. And there's a difference between the system and the painting. And they will evolve on its margin and struggle to have their work accepted. And so that means that they will come up with a new type of painting with new idea, but they still want to be accepted at the salon. They still wanted to be in a good place, which was, also, it was really complicated. You needed to be accepted, then to have a good place, and then there were medal rewards. So it was like very stressful. They accepted the system, but they came up with new type of painting. So these independent artists, whose work was actually then referred to as the new painting, tried other paths. And this is the artist that we can really considered as the predecessor of the Impressionist. And so this is actually taking place, let's say 20 years, more or less 20 years before the Impressionist. And you will see that each one, and I will go really quickly through this, but each movement or artist will bring something that most of us consider as something special to Impressionism. So still academic painting, reference to the Bible, the mythology. Well, this is exactly the type of painting that the state will purchase. As you can see, it was purchased right away, and that the Academy and the public was actually expected. A perfectly drawn and painted, colored with no visible brushstroke, with a great subject. Well, 1874. But another example, I go through them very quickly. This is, again, this really embody exactly what the artist was reacting against. No visible brushstroke. It was probably here. I gave you the history, and that doesn't matter in our context. This was the painting that was sold for the highest price. I didn't find exactly the price, but that was the most expensive and successful painting of that salon, the official salon of 74. So here also one example, of course, related to the colonization. There were a lot of exotic subject matters, and this is also what people came at the salon to see and discover the world. And here, this is also one of the topic that was covered, the defeat of the Franco-Prussian War. Voilà. And that marked the end, the fall of the Second Empire. That was one of the most popular subjects through until the 80s, actually. You have also that type of painting, and this is also an official painter, Jean-Jacques Henner. And even though the Parisienne will be both depicted in the official art and in for the Impressionist in different way, you will see here. But so, of course, with the urban renewal project launched in Paris by Napoleon III, supervised by the prefect Haussmann, it generated an extraordinary wealth, and the new modern capital became the site of spectacular culture, of entertainment and consumerism, and refined and fashionable, the Parisienne became the great protagonist and international icon of modernity. So both for the academic artist, and here an example of a painting that was presented in the off exhibition of the Impressionist exhibition, Boulevard des Capucines. Voilà, Corot also, which I thought was interesting. So it also important to keep in mind that when the Impressionists organized that exhibition, because of the 20 years and a little more with the Barbizon, the art world has slightly changed. And this is Corot, who was exhibited at the official salon. Monet, often Monet is considered as an impressionist, but he is not an impressionist. It's difficult to define what and who is an impressionist, but we normally consider the artist who attended to the impressionist exhibition. There will be 8 between 1874 and 86. Monet never wanted to participate to the Impressionist exhibition, even though they begged him in 1874. But for him, it was important that the fight has to be taken from the inside, and it was important to keep submitting painting and to be seen and shown at the salon. He was accepted, but definitely not with success. So this is one of his students who submitted and who got along with him, didn't want to participate with the others exhibition, but voilà, but she was rejected. But with a topic that Renoir, so it would have made sense that she participated to the Impressionist exhibition. This was at the exhibition. Marie Cassatt, that is often related to Impressionist, the American painter. When she came to Paris, as any other artist, she will submit painting at the Salon. She was accepted with that painting, and this is how Degas discovered her, contacted her, and that their connection that was of huge importance in the history of Impressionism, because without the Americans, Impressionism will probably not have the history that we know. So Voilà. So she will end up participating after a rejection. And so this was, I thought, an interesting first time it was shown and presented at the Impressionist exhibition at Orsay. And so here, this is a painting of the Salon, where the artist asked the original artist to paint all the small miniature, the painting of their painting. So they're all painted by the original artist. So 167 of the work presented were purchased by the state. Well, and so this is the reaction at the opposite of people going to the Impressionist and the new painting. Voilà. So they will have a hard time finding their public and above all, their buyer. And this is the major motivation for the organization of the first Impressionist exhibition. This young generation of artists, Monet, so we named Monet, Renoir, Sisley, Cézanne, were actually meeting in a cafe between Montmartre and Les Batignolles, where they lived, and the new added district from the Second Empire. And in that cafe, they will do basically on off what the official salon is doing. What to paint, new subject, new idea, where to paint, but also organize their career. And they wanted to organize an exhibition. They understood that seeing the unsuccess of the Salon des Refusés, that they shouldn't count on the state and they shouldn't count on the academy to defend and support their work. So from that moment on, and gathered around Monet, they will try to figure out a new way of exhibiting and showing and find finally their public.
Anne Catherine, we have one question from
Yes,
a viewer,
yes.
from Dale, who asks, why would Impressionism not have expanded without Americans, if he heard this correctly?
Yes, absolutely, because because the Impressionist Monet, Renoir, they were starving. They didn't sell any money, any painting. You have to wait till the 80s, and it's actually it comes after, but I can just explain and then show you the image. But it's actually Durand Ruel, a gallerist, who will help them organizing the first exhibition. And then he came from a family of art dealer, and who dealt with the Barbizon artist. And he was trying to create their career, have solo exhibition, but it didn't work. And he went bankrupt until Marie Cassatt introduced Durand Ruel to Louisine Havemeyer, so who married actually, now I don't remember his first name, but the Sugar King, a huge fortune. Most of the Impressionists of the Met are from their collection. And Americans are much more inclined to support the new artist and this new painting with no preconceived idea. Now, the French one, they want the people with money now, they want the painting as the ancient nobles. So they want academic painting. They want well painted, and by well painted with no visible brushstroke. And it's really the American who started to buy Impressionist and Manet as well. And very quickly, when there was the financial situation was at its worst, Marie Cassatt had the idea and convinced Durand Ruel to actually have an exhibition in the US. It was a great success. And a few years after, he was invited officially by the government to an institution of fine art to exhibit. Great success. So great that he came back every year until he actually ended up renting a gallery in New York, because there was like some taxes issues that made it complicated to deal with a gallery in France. So he had not only one in New York, but one in every big city, and all his sons will be working with him. So it is really from the American that the Impressionist situation was saved. And as you will see later on the PowerPoint, it's only after 1905 that, a little intrigued by who were these artists that the Americans, and then in the early 20th century, the British was so fond of, that the French started to be interested in the Impressionists. But that's long after the others. So you will have more answers, and then I will go through very quickly. I can see the time is running, flying. So you will see I have like more slides that illustrate that. So again, to talk about money, and that was the issue, was they didn't have money. And I think one of the reasons why Monet was so brave is because he didn't need the money. He wanted to have the acceptance of the Academy. He wanted to be famous because he wanted the people and the world to understand that painting had to go in another direction, a direction that he led, and he's considered the first modern artist. But it was not the case of the other. They needed money. And so they created this society, anonymous society of painters, sculptors, etc. It's a co-op that actually was influenced by Pissarro, who discovered something similar in Pontoise, so in the north of Paris where he lived, where bakers were gathered in a co-op of bakers with a very solidaire, now I don't, that they help each other. So the idea that everybody tips in, and with the money they organize, they print the catalog, they rented the thing, they pay the electricity, someone sells a painting, then you give 10% to the co-op, etc. The idea was brilliant. Unfortunately, they did organize the exhibition here at the Nadar former studio, Boulevard des Capucines, close to the Opera House, printed a catalog. The main idea was no jury, no rewards. The painting will be, because that was also something very complicated, that not only did you have to be accepted, but the way that painting were hanging in the salon was one on top of another. So the position of the painting was very important, because you could very easily have your painting in a corner that nobody will see. But again, if you place one in a good spot, that means that there's one that is in a less good spot. So the idea was to pick randomly, and there will be, so no reward, no jury. Every member, so the 30 member, will submit a certain number of painting. They needed to have a title that will appear in the catalog. It's nice that we have the catalog, because we know pretty much how many people entered and bought the catalog. This was, and so the painting will be placed randomly. So this is the catalog. So it was held, the exhibition was held at the same time as the official salon. But again, to give you an idea, I think there were around 300,000 people at the official salon. We are a little more than 3,000 people at that exhibition. Voilà. So here I show you some from the catalog. So this is a comment on from Cézanne on Manet's Olympia. One of the other reason why Manet didn't want to exhibit at the Boulevard des Capucines was because he didn't like Cézanne, and he didn't want to be exhibited with him. And so as elegant was Manet as peasant, and he made it on purpose. And I think there's one time they met and he said, "I'm not shaking your hand. I haven't showered for 7 days." This is the kind of thing that Cézanne could do. And it was funny that he actually made a comment on Manet's Olympia that he painted in 63. And this is the painting that he did at Auvers, so the village where Van Gogh spent the last 70 days of his life and where he died. So Degas, and Degas, a little older than the other. As you see, none of these artists has really anything in common, and this is why it's very difficult to define Impressionism, except by the fact that they participated to that exhibition and they challenged the academic rules. And as you can see here, this is from the Havemeyer collection. Berthe Morisot, this woman artist who ended up marrying actually Manet's brother. So, as I said, and here I pass this quickly because we talked about it, but this is definitely from America that the salvation of the Impressionist and of Durand Ruel came. First exhibition in 1883, and that really marked, so this is pretty much less than 10 years after the exhibition. So again, now the Impressionists are in their 40, 45. Voilà. So this is also, but I'm sure you noticed that most of the Impressionist painting are in American museum. America has the greatest Impressionist collection because all the donation, and even the Art Institute of Chicago will buy very early, long before the French state. So here, when he was invited, I just took this, but Monet didn't want to attend to the American exhibition, saying that Americans were savages and able to understand his painting, and he was wrong. The first great collectors are in Chicago and are Americans. Voilà, so this is the gallery that he rented with letter of introduction from Marie Cassatt and Louisine Havemeyer. And so at Louisine Havemeyer, they were Rembrandt, Vermeer, major names, and the Impressionists. And among the friends, they had the Rothschild, they had all the big names, wealthy people who wanted to have painting like the Havemeyer. And so, of course, a lot of major American fortunes started to collect Impressionists, sorry. Voilà, so by the end of the 19th century, all of Durand Ruel's debt has been repaid. Following the American success, the Europeans were finally convinced by Impressionism. And in 1905, Durand Ruel organized in London, considering that Europe was now ready, a huge exhibition. Here you have without America, wrote Durand Ruel in his memoir, I would have been lost, ruined after having bought so many Monet and Renoir. Voilà. And so here you have some images of the British exhibition. You recognize maybe the La Grenouillère, here the Renoir. Degas painting. But of course, you can imagine the frustration of the French government, because in 1905, where suddenly they started to show interest, they cannot afford Impressionism any longer. And I like this quote to finish. My madness has been wisdom, to think that if I had died at 60, I would have died riddled with debt and insult among unknown treasure. So I will stop here. I of course, I have a few more slides, but I'm not going to show them to you. It's nothing important. It was just to show you how, but it really doesn't matter. But how this example of the Impressionist exhibition will actually lead to the organization of other group exhibition with no jury, no rewards, the Salon with loose definitely its monopoly. In 84, 10 years after, the Salon des Indépendants, organized by post-impressionist artists. Again, no jury, no rewards. This was the place to be. The public will judge. You find, you know, a buyer, a collector, a gallerist who want to support your work. And this is also what will happen in the 20th century with the Fauvism, etc. So sorry.
No, fantastic.
So
Thank
much,
you.
there's so much to say. It's like difficult
It was
to
fascinating. That's why I didn't want to stop you. It was so interesting, and we've had many comments saying the same, that they loved the presentation. Hazel said it was she wished she could see the exhibit live, but she cannot. But it was like being there. So really, you did a good job. And on that note, the exhibition in Paris is until the 14th of July, I think, in Orsay. That
Yes,
I
yeah, I
think
think
those are the
so.
dates.
I think
Yeah,
so. I had it in the first slide, but
yeah.
I
And
think
then
so. And
it
in
goes
what
to the
we can,
US.
yeah. As far as I remember now, it's just like from memory, but it's so I have the catalog here, but so the Orsay exhibition, yeah, is voilà. So from September 8th till January 19th, so 24, 25, it's at the National Gallery. And as you said, it will end at the 14th of July
Yeah.
in
Um,
Paris.
And we have another comment from Dale who says it was a beautiful presentation, that he learned so much. And then he says he wants to take one of your classes. How can our viewers
Oh
attend
yes,
one of your
this is
classes?
so we have so this is the last this is
Mhm.
where actually we give like monthly lectures. The of course this April month was dedicated to Impressionism. In May and June we will work on the D-Day. But in
Yes,
if you go on the website, you will cite with four faculty teacher. So we like to follow the actuality, and
Mhm.
of course we will be doing something on art for me, art and the Olympics. But you absolutely welcome to go and check on our website.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'll, if you don't mind, I'll just take over the screen here. And on the note of D-Day, that was a perfect segue, because our next event for our viewers, our next online event is going to be on the 6th of June, on the commemoration, the anniversary of the D-Day landings. And so we will be with author Stuart Ross, who will be diving into the world of espionage and
Oh,
looking at Operation Double Cross, which took place for D-Day. So yes, tune in for that on the 6th of June at 11:30 Eastern Time. Thank you so much, Anne Catherine. I wish we could have done
thank
such a
you.
longer event. It was so fascinating. I really feel honored to have been able to take part.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. And so to everybody else, until then, from all of us at France Today, merci beaucoup et à bientôt.
Thank you.